Hello there. Welcome back to my channel, Snips by Kelly. I'm Kelly and I'm glad you're here tonight. Tonight I have a 2-page scrapbook layout and it is a background idea. We're going to use the Countryside in Designer Series paper. I've had my eye on this for a long time because of course I live in the country and it has this great country vibe, hence the name Countryside In. And at first glance it seems a little summery. There's some florals, some stripes. It features the misty moonlight, night of navy, a little bit of pool party. So all the blues, all the rich blues. But Sophisticated Sled is a brand new die and stamp set sold separately or together that has these great dies that are large enough for scrapbooking pages, but also fit on cards. So you can stamp all of the individual pieces or you can simply layer the dies to create this great 3D sled. It has adorable, adorable ice skates that even have laces that tuck right into the skates, and then separate blades. And then there's greenery. So there is a wreath and all kinds of little greenery, and I think even a little bird. So I came across this pattern from Make It From Your Heart. I think it's volume 4, and it is a card pattern, but it's actually an angled pattern in which you angle the cardstock or the pattern paper to create a different background instead of backgrounds that we've used over and over. And I love this beautiful night of navy stripe. That's almost like a pinstripe. And I want that for the background. And here are two of my granddaughters, Hattie Elaine and Avery Jean. And I love these photos of them building a snowman together. I always think of that saying, sisters by whatever, sisters by birth and friends by choice, or I'm saying it wrong, I'm murdering it, but they have so much fun together and I just love the playing in the snow. And they actually used all food for the snowman. So they had blueberries, carrots, and I can't remember if the eyes were grapes, I think. And so I thought this would be great. So it's a little different for us to have a winter theme stamp and die cut that comes out in the summertime. But we're going to start with a 7.5 by 12 inch pattern paper piece. And even though it seems a bit summery, it has trees and some leaves and even some florals. Because of the tones of blue in that, I really got a wintry feel. It makes me think of frost or of, just winter blues. It's really, I love it. So I'm actually marking off 1.5 inches on the left side, 1.5 inches on the right side, and then 6 inches in the center. I'm going to show you a couple ways to do this, but we're working with 1.5 inches up on either side. So again, it is a 7.5 by 12. We're going 1.5 inches up on the left and 1.5 inches up on the right. And we're starting at 6 inches in the center and just going to cut that on an angle. We're going to do that with some smaller pieces as well. And you could easily flip that pattern over and fussy cut that, or you can put it right back on your paper trimmer. I'm going to show you another way to do this if you're not as confident with your paper trimmer. But the trick to this is to put that 1.5 inch mark and the 6 inch mark right in the paper trough. So you want to make sure that your trimmer blade or your wire is aimed right in the trough and that those two lines are in the trough, and you'll get a good cut and it will make a nice little point and the angle will be great. So what we're going to do is we're going to do 2 additional pieces. So the next piece is 6.5. Let me double check that. 6.5 by 12, and it is the basic gray. And we're going to go a 1.5 inches up on this one also on either side and 6 inches in the middle. And I'm going to double check that that's not Smoky Slate or a different gray. I'm still learning. It is Smoky Slate. Let me see here. Yep, it is Smoky Slate. So sorry about that. I have labeled all my Stampin' Up! Paper because I'm really struggling to get the names down. And I did not have any trouble with close to my heart colors, of course, because I was in close to my heart for so many years. And we typically just had to learn 6 new colors each year, and the base colors stayed the same. So as you can see, I actually drew the lines this time. So I made a mark at 1.5 inches up on the right side and the left side, made a mark at 6 inches in the center, drew a line with a straight edge, and then you have a little something extra to follow. And I did that with pencil mark. The first time I used pen, which is a no-no, you shouldn't do that, because if you get off a little bit, then the pen marks are going to show on your paper. But I wasn't thinking and I used pen, and so this time I used pencil, and that works great every time as well. So we're going to do it with the third piece of paper, which is 6 by 12. And we're going to go again 1.5 inches up on the left and 1.5 inches up on the right, 6 inches in the middle, draw our lines. And here I am using my pen again. So do not do what I do what I say. I think I was just grabbing whatever was closest. So I'm going to go over those sizes again really quick. You have a 7.5 by 12 inch base pattern, a 6.5 by 12 for the middle cardstock pattern, and a 6 by 12 for the top pattern. And you're going 1.5 inches up on the side of all 3 of those pieces and 6 inches in the center to create the same angle all the way down. Then we're going to be able to angle those pieces downward, and it really makes for an interesting background. So if you're tired of using some of the same old backgrounds, which I do often, I have my favorites, and as much as I try not to use my favorites over and over, I have a tendency to gravitate back toward those, which the beauty is it's your scrapbook. So if you want to use a lot of the same backgrounds over and over like I do, you totally have that prerogative, right? So there is a lot of wasted paper here. So what I would have done had I not been doing this on camera is the bottom 2 layers, I actually would have made them way shorter. I wouldn't have used the whole piece because I would have just tucked them under, and I would have made sure there wasn't a bump. You know, usually you can tuck those under if you're tucking them under the lip just a little bit, and I could cut off several inches for sure off of those and save that paper. I'm also going to cut the base paper and not waste the half that doesn't show as well, because there's great paper underneath there. So we don't want to waste our precious patterns. So I was showing that you could actually reverse that slant. You could go and put that on the bottom of the page or the top of the page if you wanted to have your left and right pages be asymmetrical and kind of like toggling at a diagonal opposite each other. But now it's time to make some bits for the page. So you actually can see here, this is so cool. There is a little slit inside the skate where the laces fit inside perfectly, and then the blades go on the bottom. So the laces actually do look like they're coming out of the skate. I love it so much. So I made the base of the skate in white, the top of the skate in white glitter paper, the laces and the blades of the skate in silver foil. So I wasn't quite sure if I was going to use early espresso for the base of the sled or silver. I ended up going with silver, just thinking about winter and the blue, and I really felt like the silver went well and that the brown wasn't, kind of clashed a little bit. But I'm showing you here that that base die, you can actually make a stamped sled and stamp that sled on the base die. But we're not going to use that die for these sleds because we're going to piece them together. And so the top of the sled, I love the top of the sled because it has the handles and the die, all the handles and the base, top base of the sled, the wood grain top, all in one piece. So you can run both of those through on the die cutter and it works awesome. And so it creates the top piece there. There's even some holes in the handle and you'll be able to run a string through those holes. Now I'm actually going to use a little bit of crumb cake. It ends up looking a little dark, but I think it's going to be great. I think it will be just kind of dirtying up the edges of that a little bit. And then we're actually the top of the sled. I forgot to say the handles in the top of the sled were cut in crumb cake. So we're doing inking with crumb cake as well. Just a little bit on those edges with the mini ink blending tool. And then you can see I've made a variety of other pieces. So I made some little branches out of, aren't those cute? Oh my gosh, they're adorable. I just love those skates. Love, love them. Of course, I did put a little bit of foam tape in between the layers and the white base. I did stamp the white skate base with black ink just so that the string when it's hanging up actually was defined with the stamp on there. And then I made some branches out of silver, Mossy Meadow, and white glitter. I didn't know what I was going to be using, and then I made the wreath out of white, and we'll do some stamping and some coloring on that. And then I made the cluster of the branches and the leaves with the bow out of white as well. Oh my goodness, the sled is so adorable. I am in love with both the skates and the sled, and all the rest is just a bonus. Those two pieces made it worth it. So basically I found a little bit of embossing thread from my stash. It was blue embossing thread, and I have so much of it. I'm like, yay, a way to use it up. I actually made one of the strings a little longer and one of them a little shorter because I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. But then you're going to be able to put some branches, and what are they called? Boughs, some branches on the top, and just some flourishes on the top there. And then maybe add the ice skates to that. I'm just kind of experimenting. I don't know what I'm actually going to do, or if I'm going to use the silver and the white, or if I'm going to use the Mossy Meadow, but it's adorable. It's just so stinking cute. I love it. And again, I started to say, I do not know why we have the Sophisticated Sled in July, but it dropped today with all kinds of other online exclusives. And they've sort of covered a little bit of fall with some changing leaves, a really cool embossing folder that dropped today that is a hybrid. Let me talk a little bit about the Bling. It's a pearl where they're clustered into 3 berries, and there's clear ones, and then there's the kind of pink red tone, and I love them. They have singles and they have clusters, and they actually are going to work really, really well. Now, I couldn't quite decide if this was like the berry burst or maybe a little bit of melon mambo. And so I think I went with the melon mambo, and looking at the pink in my granddaughter's jackets, I actually didn't worry about coordinating the pink in their jackets with anything within the blue and the gray, because I felt like the pink jackets really gave me the contrast color within the photos and no work was necessary. So I love that, and I love that that's the color of the berries as well. So all I've done here is I've taken another little scrap of pattern paper that I like, and I've stamped the top of the little bow that's on the top of the cluster, the leaf cluster. And I'm going to fussy cut that out and paper piece it on top of the bow. And I think that's going to tie everything together with my blues. And I'm going to love that. So I actually get it all fussy cut out and then realized I didn't stamp deep enough. And I didn't get the ends of the ribbon, so I actually have to stamp it again. I don't do it on camera, though. I have to fix that because I get it all fussy cut out and find that I snipped off the ends of the ribbon, or I just didn't stamp up high enough. So we're going to paper piece this. And so a lot of times when I fussy cut, I leave a tiny little edge, and it's just looks so clean when you do that. But when I'm paper piecing, I do try to get as close to the stamp lines as possible. possible, because we're going to set that inside the other bow to tie the bow in, because this isn't a Christmas layout, although this set could very easily be used with Christmas and actually would be beautiful with another one of our online exclusives that dropped today called Seasons of Green and Gold. I think this would be gorgeous with, it's kind of a gold foil and a flourish and pine pattern. Really, really lovely, and I think the sled set would really look amazing with this. So I pulled out Mossy Meadow and Old Olive. I do end up using Old Olive and deciding that Mossy Meadow is too dark. And actually, I didn't even realize I did this, but I used the Stampin' Write marker on the berries and the Melon Mambo on the berries, and then I actually used the Stampin' Blends on the leaves here, and you can do either or. There were such tiny little things to color that the smaller Stampin' Write marker worked great. I don't know if Stampin' Up recommends, which ones you do what with, because I'm still learning those, but I've been just actually experimenting with them all, coloring with them all, and sort of getting a feel for all of them to see what I like and how I feel about them, and also the tones and the colors. I'm familiar with tri-blends, and so I'm just kind of bonding and making acquaintance with my new markers and my new friends here. So we're going to color all of these leaves in with Old Olive. And then, of course, we already did the berries and just finished those off a little bit, and I think that's going to be just right. I wondered how the green would be on the blues, and it's actually perfect. It's just enough. Now, I'm actually going to use this Stella Glimmer brush. So in Close to My Heart, we had shimmer brushes, and I thought I want to use this Stella Glimmer brush and see if it's about the same. And it has a thicker, it's maybe a little thicker of a liquid, not much. I don't know if it's really a thicker liquid or if just the silvery bits is a little bit more, maybe a little less subtle. So I'm barely touching, and it really makes a nice little shimmer. It's always way too hard to pick up on camera, but I really, really like that. So I'm happy. I'm so happy with the bits that we created. Yeah, I love the little skates. Love, love, love the little sled. The flourishes are going to add. I wasn't quite sure what colors to make everything. And I also didn't know if I want this slanted piece to be upside down or right side up. I do decide to have them both symmetrical. And then I also decide to pop both of those up with foam tape. I know that's a lot of foam tape if you're not a foam tape person, but there's just something about having that pop up away from the pinstripe. And then I think I can probably tuck some little things under the lip, like some of those little leaves and flourishes under there. I contemplate several different ways of arranging my photos. So I would like one that's more close, one that's more far away, another one that's close, one that's more far away, and then the third row is one that's close and one that's far away. So I try stacking them all on top of each other, which is I don't mind. I try toggling 2, 2, and 2, which I don't mind. I do believe final answer, I do 3 on the top and 3 on the bottom. So for the photos, I have a 4x6 vertical or horizontal, with an 1/8 inch border. So 4 1/8 by 6 1/8. Then I have 3 3x3 photos, and I have an 1/8 inch border, 3 1/8 by 3 1/8. And I have just the snowman itself, the girls cooperating together, standing and posing. Now I'm struggling because the subjects are kind of turned outward on the left, and I don't really have a photo to choose from where they're looking inward. Now, I don't always fuss about this kind of thing. This is a pet peeve to someone if your subjects are looking out and not inward, or at least straight on. So what I did here is I went to my Print to Size app. I use Print to Size to print at home, and there's a little button on there that allows you to flip the photo. So do you see how they're facing out? And I used this little tiny flip button and it flipped the photo completely. So now they're looking in. So I just replaced that photo. They're doing the same thing. The content is the same. Now it's just facing inward and it's a super easy fix. So there are lots of times on my layouts where I sort of forget to do it, or it obviously doesn't bother me. And then there are other times with certain layouts and certain photos where it really, really does. This one, not so much. The subjects are smaller. My granddaughters were smaller in that one, and it really didn't bother me that they were looking to the left. But some people that really, really bothers. And so you can just use that print a size app, flip it the opposite direction and push print, and you get it. The only time you might get something funky is maybe if there's words. I do believe like if there's words in the photo, they might be backwards. Don't quote me on that, but I think so. But other than that, it usually flips just great. Like I've never had any trouble flipping them. So now I feel good about the placement, although I do end up moving those top 3 photos on the right page down a little lower. I'm envisioning the 2 sleds side by side, just like each of them had the sleds. Now, the girls did go sledding on this day, but these particular pictures are of building a snowman. And does it bother me that I'm using sled icons with snowman pictures? Absolutely not. It's a great winter icon. I love it. I started to tell you that this big, huge product drop today, all of the last bridge product from Close to My Heart dropped, including summer gnomes, beautiful, beautiful projects that would have been our May National Scrapbooking projects. And then at the same time today, online exclusives from Stampin' Up! Dropped as well. And so they've kind of covered a lot of bases. So there's a little bit of Halloween, there's a little bit of Christmas, there's a little multi-pack that has even Valentine's in it in terms of paper. They have a gorgeous, gorgeous green and gold Christmas set. They have some standalone dies and stamp sets and ones that can be bundled. And I've done actually some process videos on some of that new product. So I did a process video using a stamp that's called Great Adventure or Greatest Adventure with a train, and that was a new drop today. I did a Halloween one with something called Spells and Potions, which is super adorable. That was dropped today, and now I'm doing this winter. So I've actually cut apart or pulled apart one of the sprigs in half to put that up to the upper left of Hattie and Avery Jean and Hattie Elaine. And then I'm making some clusters. So I love how the sleds turned out. I actually used the Mossy Meadow green little branches. And then my stamped piece on one sled and the skates on the other sled. Put a couple of the little branch leaves toggled underneath, tucked those under the little lip a little bit. And then I am actually realizing my photos are not lined up and are not symmetrical with the left photo on the left page. So I'm going to pull those down a little bit so that your eye can cross over a little bit better. I'm purposely over more to the right with those photos because I purposely go over more to the left with the bottom photos. I'm going to arrange the stamped and colored wreath that I colored with the markers and put another set of ice skates over that. Put another little flower cluster over here with some of the branches. I have to play around with those just a little bit. I end up putting those on the corner so they don't cover up Hattie, Elaine, and Avery Jean. And I'm liking that. I know that it's more than a cluster of 3, but it does toggle from up to down, back up and back down, and then down again. So you're covering a lot of the photos that way. I did stamp using the stamp set, Let It Snow, on just a small piece of scrap white, and I cut that out. I'm going to pull out some ephemera, and it's it's a set saying ephemera that has some small, medium, and large words in a variety of colors. And I've just been pulling these out randomly with lots of different layouts and matching up colors and sentiments. So it's kind of been nice to have a little bank of sayings you get in the ephemera, and you get 2 sheets each of each style. And I think it's called Say It. I think it's called Say It. Yeah. And that is great. Now, I pulled out a couple things. I pulled out Hello Friend because I feel like the snowman, they might be saying hello friend to the snowman. The 2 girls, hello friend, being friends. But I love the pool party color in Love You. I love the Love You, but this really isn't. This is more about friendship, working together, building the snowman, having fun, being sisters. I love you, but I mostly love the Love You because of the color. And so I thought maybe I could draw out some pool party, just pull the Stampin' Write pool party marker and color Hello Friend. And so it's funny, I just did a layout. Was that yesterday? Gosh, I can't even remember. Oh, I did a layout with changing leaves, a beautiful layout with the changing leaves hybrid embossing folder that also dropped today. I will link all of my new product videos. I think there are 4 of them at least. I'll link those in the description so you can check those out. But I actually used the other hello on that one. And I think I said hello today. And they were both white. So I'm gravitating toward the white in that ephemera pack, but I just know there's going to be some things coming up that match all of the other colors because there's a variety of colors in the ephemera. But I love that we bring out the pool party. You can't really see too much of the pool party in these patterns, but if you look closely in the lowest pattern that we cut on a diagonal, it has leaves and trees and flowers in there, and you'll see pool party mixed in there. And it's definitely a coordinating color in this themed pack, the Countryside Inn. And I just feel like we have plenty of white. We have white in the skates. We have white in the snow. We have white in the snowman. Now I'm going to find this other little sentiment here that I think is going to work great up over on the left-hand side. And then maybe stick Let It Snow in one of these clusters. And I think that will be perfect. I think I'll love that. And I thought Here's to You is appropriate as well. Like Here's to Us working together. I am kind of giggling. I didn't realize until I was stepping back from the photos that there's a lot of them standing there. They have different facial expressions. They're tilted in a different way. And then the snowman, I think the snowman is at a little tiny different stage. But I love kind of pulling that together at the lower, upper left, the lower and then the upper right on the right page. So I'm going to go ahead and use some of those pearls. And I think they're called Cherry Cobbler and Clear Pearls. Don't quote me on that. And they actually go, here they are right here. Let me open this up and take a peek at them. They are actually part of the Seasons of Green and Gold collection, which I'm so excited. I'm actually going to do a big online event with that collection. It is a little bit more spendy, but oh my, over the top gorgeous, and you get so much. So yeah, Cherry Cobbler and Pearl adhesive backed berries. So I think these will be great for Christmas as well, but I'm actually using them not traditionally. I'm using them as a cluster in the middle of some, but then I'm just using them as traditional bling. And as I always say at this point in the video, I'm getting happy. So I really love this set. It's a simple layout. I felt like less is more. A few little clusters of the green. The sled is absolutely adorable. The ice skates are absolutely adorable. I've linked all the supplies that in the description. and it has all launched today. It is going through the end of the month, and it's a cool month because you get to earn bonus bucks this month that you get to spend next month. Be sure to shop on my code that's linked in the description to earn Snips by Kelly bonuses. You earn bonuses that way. You can always reach out if you have questions about that. I'd love to help you and welcome you into the Snips by Kelly paper crafting community. If you don't mind, won't you please hit subscribe, like the notifications bell, and definitely shoot me a comment. I love to hear from you. It really keeps me motivated to keep sharing, and I love hearing content ideas on what you would like to see here on Snips by Kelly. Thank you so much for watching, and I love that we're doing snow in July. Hey, you just never know. I think you can have fun with whatever they throw out at you. Give me cuteness and I'll play with it any day and in any season. Happy scrapping, everyone, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.